Hey guys, welcome to episode 11 of the Aspiring Polymath, also the first episode of what I am going to call season 2, just for the heck of it. And we have two wonderful guests here today. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. My name is Frances. I'm the CEO of Udokan.
Hi, my name is Amarachi, and I'm Frances's cousin, the customer of Udokan.
Come on, you have more qualifications than that.
I'm a software developer.
There you
I'm
go.
also a digital creator, I guess.
You see, an aspiring polymath as well.
Yes, that's true.
No, you are an aspiring polymath because of those things already. Yeah. See, you didn't even know that, did you?
See, I didn't. We learn every day.
Yeah, you see, maybe now you open up your own podcast. Who knows? You can talk about fashion and
I could.
yeah.
Don't put my own ideas in my head if I start doing it.
What's wrong with that? But anyways, Francis is here to talk to us about what I find a very interesting topic. I think I first saw this. When did you start Udokan again?
2017. The
Okay.
end of 2017.
Okay, I think that was when I first saw it. Actually, I don't remember where or how, but it got me really interested in African writing, and well, I already had an interest in that, but it kind of sparked some of it. So why don't you tell us how did this all start? Like where did this come from?
It's a very interesting question.
Wait, can you talk a little bit louder? Because just to make sure, I'm not sure if it's getting because it looked like my voice is definitely getting in there, but I don't know.
I would definitely say that this concept is something that has been growing in me since I was young. So I'm a first generation Nigerian American. My parents are immigrants. So although I was born and raised in the US, my whole household is very much Nigerian. My dad is a proud Biafran.
Okay.
That's how we grew up. My parents and their friends, every year or so, they go back to Nigeria to do mission trips. I always found that to be interesting. And my dad always taught us what it means to be Igbo, what it means to be a Nigerian, and the importance of all of that, and the importance of giving back. I always knew that this is not the place that I want to die. This is not the place that I just want to stay for the rest of my life. And I've always wanted to give back to those in need, more specifically those back home. So after I graduated in undergrad in 2016, I wanted to do a bit more. I had a degree in microbiology, but I wasn't doing anything with it.
Really?
Yeah. I wanted to go into med school, the whole you'll be a doctor. That was not me. I like my sleep. So, but I do like making things with my hands, and I like helping people. So I started off making necklaces that I would carve out wire, and it would say Udo, which means peace in Igbo. That is my general message for Udokan, to spread peace. So I would make these necklaces, and one of my dad's friend's sons, he was in high school at the time. He was, oh, this is so cool. And he showed his friends, and he was, oh, I want to buy one. I was like, yo, I could sell this. That's lit. So I started selling that, and my siblings were like, why don't you, do some other stuff? My mom was the one who actually talked me into making t-shirts and everything. And at first I was like, no, this necklace is my thing. I'm just going to stick with it. Well, my mom, being the hard head that she is, actually went behind my back and made the first batch of Udokan
I like your mom already.
Yeah, she did. Oh my God. So what happened was, from the proceeds that we made from the necklaces, we went to Nigeria in 2018. It was summer of 2018. And we donated food and supplies to an orphanage in Port Harcourt. And my mom was like, oh, Francis, I made y'all some shirts. I was like, what? So she took the logo that we had at the time and made Udokan shirts. And that's what we used to wear when we went to go do our mission trip.
Yeah.
So we saw it. I was like, oh wait, maybe I can add, t-shirts to the collection, right? So that's how we came up with the original Udokan shirts. It was my mom, who did that. And from there, I just had so many ideas, and I was like, oh, I want to add this and do that. And I was already into exhibiting because in high school, I started reading books by Nigerian authors specifically. And there was one.
I was gonna jump into that actually, but I guess we'll come to that and explain what that is.
So I know I wanted to incorporate that into my clothing and the jewelry. There's so many avenues. So my first date with my now husband, he took me to the Nikkei Art Gallery in Lagos.
Sharp guy.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
That was our first date. And we were learning about art and everything. And there were some art pieces where I could tell there was like some sort of symbols, like just kind of like hidden in the art. And the lady there who was like teaching us about every art piece, she was telling us, this is a story.
Was it the old lady? What's her name? What did they call her?
I don't know her name, but I know the main woman.
Yeah. Telling us a story. Telling us that these paintings have stories and they have a meaning, and this means that, and that means this. And I was like so intrigued about our people in general and women, because the women back then, they would have certain inscriptions on their clothes that would kind of tell guys like, oh, hey, like I'm married, don't come to me, or like, no, I'm actually available, come talk to me, kind of thing.
Do you know if your husband knew that? Is that why he took you?
No, who knows? But that was also inspiring. So all these things from the books that I read, the art that I was looking at, my parents, that's really what's inspired a lot of the jewelry and the t-shirt designs of Udokan. But yeah, so what I do is I design and make these pieces and I sell them, and I use a portion of the proceeds to give back to those in need. So I've donated to a school, I've donated to the orphanage. I had a Christmas party in a village in southeast Nigeria. And during the onset of COVID, we made food, literally just packaged up some different packages of food, went out to the streets of Lagos and handed it out to, the homeless people out there, just so they can have, a meal and everything. So that's what I've done.
That's pretty good. That's a lot of philanthropic work. And I like how when you were discussing what you did, most of what you focused on was actually the philanthropy, not actually running the business or the sales or anything like that. Yeah, I like that. That kind of puts an emphasis on what's important to you in the business. Mm-hmm. But before we go any further, and before I forget, where do you make your shirts? Because I'm looking for a new shirt manufacturer, and I'm shamelessly going to steal your manufacturer.
It's so funny. I get them made in Nigeria. Actually.
Really?
Yes. It's all about putting money back into our economy.
Nice.
So there's a guy in Nigeria that I go to who prints these shirts, and yeah, it's like another thing. I just try to.
So does he ship them to you, or do you go pick them up? Or
we go and pick it up, but it was last year. With the whole COVID thing, we couldn't just go back and pick it up earlier. So it was mailed out to us. When my husband was out there, he just mailed it out to me. Yeah.
About how much does he charge?
For the bulk and everything.
Yeah.
So that's my mom's homie, so he got a little discount.
Okay, I need to get his connects from you because I use Teespring. They're okay, but I don't know. Quality could be better. Yeah. The quality of the shirts is actually good, but the print not so much. Yeah. So, anyways, that aside, so who do you find are like typically your? By the way, Amarachi, you can jump in here. You can jump in here at any point.
If I have something to sell, don't worry.
Anyways, who do you find are like your biggest customers? What kind of demographic?
Definitely like ages 22 to 30-ish, Nigerians and diaspora. That's really like my main niche, I guess. People who buy from me. I do want to expand out because Udokan is not just about Nigeria. The continent of Africa as a whole. So I do want to branch out to more people that way. But
okay, yeah. I was kind of curious if other Africans were interested in it too.
They are, they've seen it and they find it cool, and some people have bought, but it's not as much as the Nigerians. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But it's probably more because of your immediate sphere of influence. Okay. And okay, now jumping into something you mentioned earlier. Do you want to explain to the people what NCBD, or am I pronouncing that right? Are Igbo experts?
From what I know, it is pre-colonial writing. So it's the way the people of the Southeast wrote before we were colonized. So this one that I'm wearing right now is the Udo chain. So this is simple for the word Udo, which means peace. And we have different ones. Yeah.
Before, well, for the audience that don't know this, we are supposed to record this last week. So before our session last week, I was doing some light reading, like I usually do for my episodes, and I was reading about NCBDs in particular. I think I read about it before, but probably like 4 years ago. And I forgot everything again. But I noticed it's used probably not the same exact glyphs, but other African cultures use them. If I remember correctly, what I was reading, they're used in some secret societies, or they were used in some secret societies. Like this one that was called the leopard man or something.
I've heard.
Yeah, so they would put claws in their hands, and basically it was a society of, it was like a, for in modern terms, it's kind of like a fraternity, basically. Actually, that's exactly what it was. It was like a fraternity for men in society. So if somebody was wronged or something, or felt like they were wrong, the whole group would gang up and go deal with somebody, basically. But they also used those glyphs to hide their information. I think that's what they used it for, to pass messages and that kind of thing. And some of those societies apparently started out all the way in Sierra Leone, even as far as Sierra Leone. There are some others. I think I saw something about Guinea too. Don't quote me on that, but I definitely saw Sierra Leone. So I was kind of curious if some of those other Africans would see this and think, "Oh, that looks like this thing that we have too." Yeah. But unfortunately, probably wouldn't happen because most Nigerians don't even know about stuff like this even. So I don't know. But it's interesting that you mentioned that the pre-colonial aspect too, because when I first started getting interested in this, I think it was when I went to Nigeria last time. It was in 2016, and I had this. Well, that's not when it started, but I was in the middle of this. I don't know what to call it. Let me call it an African awakening almost. So I was getting more and more interested in African history, and I was looking into stuff like that. I was actually thinking of writing a book about African mythology. I actually started writing the book, but somewhere I got distracted when I was coming back here, and I kind of forgot where I kept it. But anyways, point I'm trying to make is I discovered during my research that Edo people actually have had scripts too, similar to this, but different. I think they were more like what I found interesting. They looked, to me, anyways, they looked a little bit like, almost like hieroglyphics, almost, at least the way they were described, but in our own fashion. This looks somewhat like it could be somewhat be like that as well. So it seems like we all had our own different writing systems, or, well, not writing in necessarily alphabet, but some kind of script or glyph. And for me, that was almost a relief. Because one question I always asked myself when I was a kid is, they always mention how, oh, back in the day everything was passed down orally, and I always wondered, are you trying to tell me that nobody ever thought to
Write
write
something down.
something down?
Yeah.
And I found it insulting. I always found it insulting, actually, especially when I would see things like, oh, they discovered this cave from like 20,000 years ago, or 100,000 years ago, where cavemen were painting animals to pass information. I'm like, so those guys could paint. Like those guys would paint an animal to, like, I read about this discovery where they found paintings of different animals, and they thought the cavemen were using the paintings as a way to teach people how to hunt certain animals, or to know what seasons to hunt certain animals, basically. And that's just like writing. That's passing information, right? And I thought about that, and it's like, if they could do that, then how are you telling me that before the Europeans showed up, we nobody ever thought, hey, why don't we write this stuff down? Well, I always found it so insulting. So when I found out, oh, we actually did have our own script, and then when I found the Benin script, the Edo script, it wasn't long after that I discovered, oh, Igbo people had their own scripts also, and I don't think I've discovered the Yoruba one yet, but I'm sure it exists. It has to have existed. Actually, I think I did read about, and stop me if I'm ranting too much here. I just realized I'm going on a long rant, but that's why I started this in the first place. But anyways, I think in the Ifa divination system, and for any Yoruba people listening to this, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, but in the Ifa divination system, they have some kind of script also that they use to save and pass information. Although a lot of it is orally transmitted because they didn't want their secrets to be found by other people. But I think they do have a script. So, long story short, it was a relief for me to discover that we have our own systems for writing stuff. And I think more Africans should be in tune with that. I think more Africans should find out about that. If possible, maybe we should go back to it.
Yeah.
I think so.
It looks really interesting, but it looks very like when I read about CCBD, it looks like really difficult because I don't know, the system isn't like fluent. You see one small thing is Udo, then you see another completely different thing, maybe 3 lines,
Yeah.
Amarachi. I'm like, where did the A? But maybe they don't even go by like AMA kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more like I don't know. Maybe the meaning of the thing,
Yes.
like speaking to them as to how the thing will now.
So I think that's typically how glyphs work.
Yeah.
They don't work like alphabet or script where you're like blah 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 adds up to this. Doesn't sometimes there's meaning to a glyph that allows you to figure out what they're trying to say. So it's not from our minds, which are our minds kind of think like we're Europeans, right? So from our current Eurocentric minds,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem as straightforward, but somehow it had more meaning. Things were not as you're able to convey things that are abstract better, I think. So whenever you're communicating something, you're not just communicating words, you're communicating ideas and feelings at the same time. So when like you were saying, where you look at the Udo symbol is not just it's not UDO. It's that's literally peace. That what that symbol means to you is peace. So it conveys a different meaning when you look at it that way. So I think they're actually more powerful than just using individual
I
scripts.
agree. Sometimes I wish like I knew these things before my great grandmother died. Because like she used to have like stuff on her body, like tattoos and stuff, and we didn't know like what it meant. And I'm like, I wonder if some of them were instantly symbols, and I just didn't know because I was like, I don't know what all of this is. So like, I wish I could look at her body again. So I can see what's on her body.
So
No, I don't know.
you don't want to ask her, but you want to look at her body.
Because she used to speak Igbo, she couldn't speak English, and I couldn't speak Igbo very well. So like, I think, yeah, and like I wasn't just interested.
It's funny how that was always that's typically our approach. Like, yeah, I can't speak it well, so why not improve your Igbo?
Like when I was younger, like that wasn't important to me. Like
True.
seeing her was enough. But now I'm like, I should have taken more time, observed her like more, and I didn't. So I should
Another
have.
thing, our
Child, like so amazing.
But-
So funny.
I would definitely say she inspired like
Mhm.
a lot of us, you
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
and like she said, like her tattoos stood out to all of us. We knew it wasn't the regular writing. You know, I feel like I definitely believe it was in CBD because before she turned to Catholicism, she did worship other gods and everything. So I could definitely see that being in CBD. It wasn't, regular tattoos.
Yeah, it was
Homegirl
like very.
got branded. So, but yeah, I think it's definitely something that it's not new to us. It's something that's been in us. We've seen it, but because of the new age stuff, our parents really trying to make sure that we acclimate to the society over here. We're not learning much of what I believe we should have learned. Even something that someone would think is small, but something that's small is being fluent in our own language, you know. To this day, I'm just like, how is it that I can understand but I can't speak?
It's such a
mental
thing.
It's so frustrating.
I think you could probably speak better than you think you can.
I don't know.
You just need to be dropped into a situation where you have to speak.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you probably grew up in an environment where the few words you know when you try saying that people laugh when you
Yes.
Oh my god. Those are people that's supposed to teach you.
I'm saying that me that's from Lagos, I'll go to Obo and somebody will say something in Igbo to me. And I'll try to reply in Igbo and be like, this one, she's a Lagos girl, she's a city girl. She doesn't know anything. Don't now, these people, these small children, they're not gonna tell their friend, and that one she came from Lagos, don't even bother talking to Igbo. So I'm just like, I'm trying. I'm actually trying my best here. So I just didn't bother again. I was like,
that's another issue. So growing up, my parents used to speak my language to me. My language is Etsako, by the way, or some people call it Wano. Where we're from, call it Wano too. So they used to speak it to us at home. It was kind of like they used to interchange between that and English. So we would hear it a lot, so we learned to understand it, but we didn't speak it back very often. So sometimes it would make us reply in our language. So I can speak a little bit, but I can't speak fluently at this point in time. So if you took me right now and dropped me in the village right now, probably in a month I'll be able to speak fluently because I just need the practice. I need people to talk to. I know the words. I can say them. Maybe I can't pronounce them all perfectly, but I can speak the language. But my siblings can't speak as well because it's like the as time went on, we didn't get as much practice anymore, and so the last two just nothing. They don't know anything. My two sisters said they can speak a little bit, but they mostly just understand. The last two they'd be struggling to understand even. So it is an important thing. I think we should pass on more. And sometimes I wonder if 2 generations from now will my language even exist. I don't know.
That's what I feel about ours too.
Yeah, because like we have like a new generation in our family, like my sister's kids and some of my cousins have children. And like even my sister's kids, in fact, I don't even know if they know what Igbo is. And it's like their father can speak fluent Igbo. Kelechi, my sister, can hear Igbo, but she cannot speak it. But somehow he does not speak Igbo to his children. And I think like I don't even know what it is because he also made a cautious decision to make sure their first name is not Igbo and their first name is English so that they have it easier. So I'm like, I don't know whether that is also a subconscious thing where he's like, there's no reason for them to learn.
Yeah, it might be.
In America.
And so I'm very, I don't even know. So I link a lot of these things all the way back to colonialism, but as well as the war.
Yeah, I agree.
So a lot of, I would say like I say Southeast as a whole, and then where the Yoruba people reside. If you think about diaspora, you're gonna hear people say that they're from all these different tribes. They don't really hear that they're Hausa, right? Because they stayed. Northerners, for the most part, stayed, whereas the rest of us we left. So back then, in leaving, think about like the parents back then. Of course, they're going to want to acclimate. They want their kids to fit in. They don't want those issues. It's kind of like when Black Americans consciously don't name their children certain names. Mm-hmm. You're gonna hear the Stacys and the Bryans. You know what I mean? Just so they know that, like, when someone's looking up their name, as far as a resume, their name will be in the pile that may be considered. So, unfortunately, as time has gone on, as generations are going by and everything, we're also getting those things. So it makes sense that Leo's like, they're gonna have American English name. That's gonna be their first name. Whereas you have some people who consciously make the effort that their child's first name is going to be Igbo. It's going to be Edo. You know what I mean? Because they don't want that to be lost. And I think that our generation, we got to make that conscious decision. You know what I mean? Like, excuse me, if I can pronounce all these other names, these German names, you can pronounce Uganda.
Yeah.
You can pronounce Amarachi. And you will read. It's not that hard. You did phonics. Like, it's really not that hard. It's legit spelled out the way it's said.
I don't think the difficulty is a matter of, it's not a matter of the mechanics of pronouncing it. It's just, it's first of all, it's unfamiliarity with languages, African languages in general. But beyond that, I personally believe there's some kind of subconscious superiority complex that prevents people from wanting to learn how to pronounce it properly in the first place. Like, so somebody goes to Starbucks. What's your name? He tells them his name is B. B, two syllables. And B. And he comes back and his name is spelled horribly wrong, like not even close. How does that happen? I ask myself, how does that happen? It just, the only explanation I can come up with is the person just heard some name from a language she can't identify and sounds like some kind of African language. She doesn't care. Writes whatever she wants to write. Because if she actually cared even a little bit to actually spell it right, or something resembling the correct spelling, it wouldn't look so ridiculous. Like some of them you can't even excuse. It doesn't make any sense. As somebody with an English first name, personally, I regret having an English first name. I mean, I say I regret. It's not like I had a choice in the matter. I didn't have a choice in the matter. I don't know. Maybe, I think sometimes maybe one day I'll make my middle name my first name. My middle name is Osilama, by the way. I think sometimes I might make it my first name, but I don't know. That seems like a lot of trouble.
But no, I get that because so I had the opportunity when I started my undergrad for people to just call me my Igbo name. So my first name is my English name. And I got into this one class and the teacher said, when the teacher's like, okay, what's your name? What's the name that you want to go by? I literally thought, okay, this is my chance. They can call me by my Igbo name. But I retracted, right? And I said, I don't want them to, chop and screw my name. Because once you chop and screw my name, now you're calling me something totally different. My name means father's pride. Now, whatever you call me, what is that? You know what I mean? So I was like, whatever, leave it. Let me, they'll call me Frances. But like now I'm just like, oh, I wish, I had them calling me Adure or Ugonna. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Frances is cool, but people still mess that up, which I don't understand. By the way. I get princess a lot, which is fine. You can call it princess. But it's frustrating because I feel like that was subconsciously passed down to me too. You know what I mean? That retraction. And so like now, like whenever I have kids, God willing, I want their first names to be Ebro. That's their name, that's their identity, and I don't want it to get lost. Because I feel like our language is gonna get lost. Because when you think about people out here in the States and you see the different Africans in general speaking their language. You hear Ethiopians speaking their language. Ghanaian. You hear Ghanaians speaking their language. You hear Yoruba. Yes. But Igbo people, very, very few. And the ones who I've seen that actually speak different languages.
Jiggers, or like they grew up in the village. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones I know. And I feel like there's another angle to it. It's just my own theory. I don't know how real it is. But like I feel like after the Biafran War, because I know that back then, like they would, pick points people and be like, you are Igbo, and then they kill you or something. Mm-hmm. So like I feel like after that time, the fear, they're just like, I don't want anything to come and identify me with being Igbo, and then people have some kind of feeling towards me or something. And so like, because even the Igbo people that grew up in Lagos, my father, till this day, my father has never spoken Igbo to me before.
Wow.
In my life, like he has never directed an Igbo sentence in my direction before. My mom speaks Igbo to me sometimes, but not my dad. Even in school, when I had like homework for my Igbo class and I asked him to help me, he's like, go and meet your mother. I cannot help. Like, he would just not help me with anything. He only spoke Igbo to my mom. And I'm like, there's a difference, because my mom, during the Biafran War, her father was wealthy enough to not be in the village during that time and have all his kids move somewhere else. But my dad was not like that. He was actually drafted into the military, but he ran away. Yes, because they thought he was the oldest son. They were looking for the oldest son, and my dad is taller than his older son.
To be clear, the Biafran military.
Yes, the Biafran military. So like they thought my dad was the oldest son because his elder brother is short, and so they took him. But my dad ran away. And like now, like thinking about it, I'm like, that's very scary, because if they catch you, that's the end. So like I feel like he was very, very close to the war, and maybe he has that.
There's some PTSD there.
Yeah, and then he's just like, because he also goes by his English name. He doesn't go by his Igbo name. He goes by Samuel, but my mom goes by her Igbo name. So like, I feel like maybe that's something like he subconsciously does, where he doesn't want us anything. Like, I think the best he did was like having us go to the village every Christmas or something. But like, that's as far as it goes. He wants us to like be, modern and everything, and not be too deep in the Igbo thing. And I feel like low key, like that one must have.
Oh yeah, it
messed him up in a
definitely
way.
affected people in different ways. Like, so my mom is her mom's
Yeah.
youngest sister. So my mom, she's a twin. So she and her twin sister were legit born during the war. They don't really know much of what happened. But like she said, our parents were fortunate, or her moms, they were fortunate enough to not live in an area to where we touched them like that.
Yeah.
My dad, on the other hand, he was young. He was like he was a little kid, maybe 6, 7-ish, during that time. So he was a kid experiencing all those different things. So where her dad was so close to it, as far as like being drafted, that he's got that trauma. My dad is like very like he's looking for revenge type of thing. You know what I mean? So he's very much like, no, you are Igbo. We are proud. In fact, we are Biafran. And he's all about all that stuff. But my mom, she's definitely the more dominant one out of the two. So whereas we grew up modern and everything, in the States and all that stuff, out of the wishes of my mom. So like my dad will say sometimes, like, the thing that he regrets is raising us in America, and not raising us, I guess, in a more Igbo way, not having our first name Igbo, not speaking to us in Igbo. Because, my siblings and I were like, Dad, like, y'all could have spoke to us in Igbo at home. We're going to learn English in school. You know what I mean? And that's something that our parents definitely regret. And I noticed it when they started meeting, like, my husband's family, because they're very Igbo, very, very Igbo. And they speak Igbo in the household and all that stuff. So like when his parents would speak to me, I'm hearing it, I'm answering. But my parents, I could tell like they were a bit embarrassed because they're like, oh, I'm speaking Igbo. My kid can't even like really join in if she wants to. So different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. And I feel like you said, I'm kind of happy about this, but it also makes me kind of sad at the same time. I don't think Yoruba language is going anywhere anytime soon. For sure. In Nigerian culture today, the dominant language is Yoruba language. The music, like Nigerian music today, is almost entirely Yoruba music. If you really get down to it. So and then there's Yoruba in other countries. There's Yoruba in neighboring countries like Republic of Benin. There's Yoruba in places like Brazil. Yoruba is everywhere. It's not going anywhere. And some of our own languages don't have the same resilience today. So it's a little bit troubling. And I feel like we cannot afford to lose them. In fact, I think at some point we should start slowly going back to our original languages. Speaking English, I always thought this, and I saw this one guy who gave a lecture on this. I saw it on Instagram, actually. I think I saved the video. Maybe if I find it, I'll show it to you. And he was basically talking about the danger of us speaking not just English, but languages that are not our own. We might speak English, we're raised with English. Actually, I'm not sure which language my first language is. I don't know if I learned English from my language first, probably side by side. I might actually have been better at speaking my language when I was a kid, funny enough. But anyways, speaking English, we're raised with English and everything, but most of us don't actually think in English. Like if you notice something, then Nigerians say, like, you both said it today, actually. I'm not trying to throw it out there. So sometimes Nigerians might say something like, okay, you spoke this to me, like I was hearing you, I wasn't hearing you very well. When we say hearing, what we really mean is understanding, or like you understand the language, basically, right? And the reason why we do stuff like that is because in our language, in that context, the word is here. The word translates to here in English. Just little subtle things like that, which is why they call us second English as a second language speakers, what they call us again, because we don't actually think in English. And when you're trying to convey ideas or even understand ideas, I noticed this especially when I moved here for college. There'd be, especially in the kind of classes I was taking too, like especially in math and physics classes, when they're talking about abstract things, the kind of language that they use, I know what the word means. I understand what the word means. Like if I go to the dictionary, I know what the word means, but I'm not able to picture it in my mind like them.
Yes.
Because try as I may, I'm not really a native speaker of the language. So I still think like a Nigerian. The way the wheels in my head work, they're built on the way African languages work, not the way English works. So it's almost like right off the bat, just speaking and using this language, you're already at the disadvantage learning certain things. Now, I'm not trying to make this a sob story, but the point I'm trying to make is we don't communicate as effectively as we should, and we don't think as effectively as we should because we're using English. There was something one of my English teachers said to me one day, and it's I can't remember exactly what he said. If I'm being honest, this was like 11 or 12 years ago, but he really got me thinking. Like, without language, how do you think? Like when you think in your head, you're not saying anything, but the language you speak seriously affects the way you think. The way you think, the way you go through life, the way you dream. Even like some people would tell you something like when they dream, maybe they dream in French or something. Something like, you hear weird stuff like that, but it really just shows you how it affects your mind. So when you're thinking about stuff, when you're formulating an idea, like okay, I want to tell somebody this thing. What language are you thinking in your head? Like you, what language are you thinking in your
I
head?
think I think in English because I don't know how I would think in another language. I think in English, but I don't know. I think that there's a brand of Nigerian English I'm thinking in, not in American English.
Yeah,
Because I'm thinking like something like, oh, let me not go and do this thing, but like let me not go, and that's not how this thing, or like at work
exactly,
I'm like, let's come and be going, but like nobody thinks like that. They don't know what that means.
exactly.
So yeah.
So most of us, even though we speak very good English, we think like that. And to me, that's the clue that we're not really thinking in English. You think you are, you're thinking in, you can say you're thinking in English words, but the mechanics behind the way you think is still an African language, basically. It doesn't matter which one. Most of our languages seem to have the same traits. Like even in my language, if I wanted to say, okay, let's go, what I would say would probably translate to something like "let's come and be going." That's probably what it would translate to if I literally translated it, and that's why sometimes without even knowing it, some Nigerians will just they'll blurt it out. If you don't spend extra time really thinking about what you're going to say, you'll probably blurt out something like, "Oh, let's come and be going," or "come and be going," even like "leave me alone," or something like that. So imagine a world where you didn't have to do that. You don't have to take the extra 2 seconds to filter everything you're going to say and you just said what you're really thinking. I think that would be a lot better for Africans in general.
I completely agree. I do. What about
It'd be less frustrating
it would
for
be.
sure.
I agree.
Because in my field, the clients I have sometimes yeah, it's a lot of filtering.
Like even at work, there's some things like I simply cannot communicate it in like American English.
Yeah.
Like when I would be like trying to describe something that I felt was somehow to me, I want to say like the way that the person that is one kind. But they're like, I cannot say one kind. If I just say it's one kind, they will have like one kind of words. But like, you just get a CB. That's another problem. It's like, what? So it just a circle. I can't even describe my frustration because it just does not make sense.
Yeah.
Yes, I just fashion another one.
And do you know the cruel parts of the whole thing is someone like yourself, you're stuck in the middle. You can't adequately express yourself in English and you can't speak Igbo. You're just there in the middle.
Broken everything.
Which is where pidgin English comes in.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
very appreciative of
Pidgin English is it's a good bridge,
Yeah.
but it's not really a language. We forget that sometimes. It's not a complete language in of itself. So I think that's a good way for us. It's a good bridge for us to go back to where we came from. So we can actually, I think somebody actually proposed that at some point that in Nigeria they should make Pidgin English. I don't think he said the official language, but an official language. So you could
Yeah.
actually use it in the office and for official documents, that kind of thing. So that would have to be a temporary thing because it's not really a complete language. There's only so much. I don't think you can use Pidgin English in a courtroom, for
It
instance.
doesn't have structure.
Yeah, exactly, which is
Yeah.
why it's a pigeon in the first
Yeah.
place. But it's a good way for us to gradually, moonwalk back to where we're back to where we came from. I think that would be a good way to go. But I don't know. A lot of people are not in support of that. And one thing I find prominent, especially in I don't want to pick on Igbo people, but especially in it's not Igbo people really. It's Catholics in general. It just so happens that a lot of Nigerian Catholics are Igbo.
Yeah.
For real.
So there's this practice, and I don't know if you know more about Catholicism. Stop me. I mean, I was kind of a Catholic when I was a kid, but I haven't been for a long time. So you baptize a child, right? And do your Holy Communion or the Eucharist the first time, and you pick a name. You pick a baptismal name, and typically, what the baptismal name is really what it's a European name.
Yeah.
Your baptism, but I don't know if it's actually a hard rule.
I don't know.
I feel like in some places it really is a hard rule. Like if you go and tell them, okay, I want the name to be Ugona, they'll say no.
Yeah.
No, you
There's
can't do
some places-
it.
there's some places like
They'll
that.
tell you no, you can't do that. You have to pick something like Elizabeth or John or something like that.
Yeah.
So that in itself is already a problem. That might actually factor into why your sister's husband wants his kids to have English names.
Especially the names that they have.
Exactly,
Yeah,
like
they're very-
Leo and
Xavier.
I don't know where Xavier came from. No, Xavier, I think he picked that. Did he pick that from a pope or
No, his brother.
no? His brother. Okay.
I don't know where they got that from.
Okay, I remember. Okay, in the spirit of this episode, Ifwoma was telling me something about where that name came from one day. I think it had something to do with, or maybe that was Leo. I don't think Leo was born. Look, who's the older one?
You talking about her brother?
Human's brothers, right?
No,
Oh,
the
children,
kids.
Xavier. Yeah.
Xavier is the older one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was Xavier. I think his name was from some pope or something like that.
It's from his uncle, whose name is also Xavier.
Unless you're talking about the younger one who's Nicholas. Nicholas is Pope.
I honestly don't
Yeah,
know. where
there
that
definitely
one
been
came from,
popes called Nicholas or saints, anyways. So
Yeah.
whatever it is, pope, saints, whatever. The point I'm trying to make is the religious influence drives a lot of Catholics and in that way, Igbo people to name their kids English names and to use the English names.
But that doesn't even make sense, in my opinion. Now I'm thinking about it. Because Hispanic people, when they are doing baptismal name, they say like Javier.
But those
But
They might have
it's a European name.
other names in there. You get what I'm saying? Like you got Maria, you know what I mean? Like there are Hispanic things.
Yeah.
But the Hispanic saints, don't they have Hispanic names?
Yeah, but that fits in the thing. But
Oh,
our
they are
name
not.
doesn't.
What is
fit.
an African saint?
What's his name?
Ayu.
There's at least one.
Yes, I know his name.
But his name is not an African name.
No,
I don't know, I can't remember.
Well,
I think I know
unless it's a recent
I think I
one.
know.
Is it-
Yeah, I should go.
Really?
Yeah.
Tansy.
Yes.
When is that a recent?
No, it's a long
Or
time.
Really?
Yes.
Well-
Nigerian. I think he's Nigerian. I'm not sure.
He's Nigerian. It
But
can't,
either
can't be
way,
that long.
you know,
He's
like-
Nigerian.
But you know, so
Some of these saints are like from 1,000
No.
years old or two. I know they
what's
still kind of.
frustrating is like a lot of our names, regardless of tribe, a lot of our names are they have God in it. Ikechukwu. You know what I mean? So you would think, I mean, come on, yo, like it legit, certain names legit translate to God's glory of God. So why not accept it?
Somewhat. That's a whole other can of worms you just opened. Because
Yeah.
do they really?
No, they don't.
Because Chukwu, for instance, Again, I defer to our Igbo experts. Like, I think Chuku comes from Chi, which is an Igbo concept of.
Yeah.
I really
But,
don't
like,
still
the
understand the
first God, 'cause when
concept.
you
But
think
it's
about-
actually a personalized.
Yes, it's not
Yeah.
really
It's
like
not a
God.
central
Yeah.
God. It's your
that's
own
fine.
personal
Exactly.
God.
So it's hard for us to translate a lot of those things to
Yeah.
English. And even attempting to do so is already changing the way we think. So now you're not, most people are not thinking about, oh, my chi anymore. They're thinking Chuku is God, like the Christian God typically. So even that is like another way that the way we think has been changed by the language. Like, I think in Yoruba people also do have a, well, not a similar concept, but a similar thing happens with Yoruba people where they use um not even Olua. I'm not so sure about Olua. Olua might actually literally mean God. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I know Olorun and Olodumare or Eledumare, whichever one, they are the names of the Yoruba God. Like in Yoruba mythology, that's the supreme God that created all the deities, Sango and everything, and created the earth and everything. Those are his literal names. Those are not, they don't mean God. They're like the equivalent of Jehovah. Like Jehovah, Yahweh does not mean God. Yahweh is the name of God, if that makes sense.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
But in today's world, people use Olorun as God in English. They take it to be the translation for God in Yoruba, which it is not. And in so doing, it's also changed the way people think about their religions and their spirituality. So now I would guess the average Yoruba person doesn't even have a concept of an Olorun as a supreme God anymore. It's just Olorun means the word God now.
So in a way, our languages have been colonized too.
Not in a way, they have been colonized.
You've been new.
Like,
Oh, jeez.
this whole thing. Oh,
It's always so
my
interesting
head
to
is
think
swimming.
about. Yeah, but for real. Especially that one when I found out like chi meant like personal God and not like, at least in the traditional sense. Now they're just like there's no personal God. Everybody has that one God. So they now follow like that. But even my dad's last name, like Iwuh is not my father's last name. I remember my mom was like that they changed it because the one that he had was like
There's
a
no way
tradition.
to reconcile it with Christianity.
Yeah, so like they changed my dad's last name. Even the one that because the one he bears is like his mother's maternal side or something, just took one last name. They're like, Iwuh is not the one. His other siblings are not Iwuh. It's only him and his brother that are Iwuh. The remaining 7 of them are Arugwese.
Wow.
And I don't even know whether Arugwese is the one that my mommy did not want to take, or if they took Arugwese and there's one other one they really did not want. Because I think maybe Arugwese is the one that they
Might
did
not be
want.
the Arugwese sounds like something
It sounds
king.
like
Something king.
Yeah. But like him, my dad's sister that is a reverend sister goes by Iwuh as well. But the remaining siblings go by Arugwese. So I don't know if that's the last name they changed, but I know like my mom was like, that's not the one that he grew up with. So he changed his name, essentially.
See, that's another whole thing entirely. So you can't really have this conversation without bringing in religion also. Funny enough, I learned about the chi thing from Nollywood movies. That's when I first discovered.
Really?
That's where I first discovered. Because I used to like watching. I like watching village movies a lot, like the ones from like way back. Yeah, that was where I first discovered the concept of chi. Like you, sometimes in village movies, there's a compound, and the guy will have like a shrine in his compound where he keeps. Well, not his chi, but basically a representation of it.
Yeah.
In there, so that was very interesting. That's where I first got the idea from.
And then that's known to break go. And I think after that we should go back to Udokan.
Yeah. We're heading back there.
And that's what I wanted to bring up is that I've noticed that Igbo people, the way they practice Catholicism is very close to the way traditional worship.
It's not just Igbo people. Igbo people, English people, Spanish people, Mexicans, they all do it.
Because like literally you saying shrine, that's what they used to have. In Igbo households, there's an altar and there's like mostly Christian things there. And I feel like even the way like they have a concept of God, they think of God like the way a traditional God would function, where they like bring things and then hope that this thing they want will come but that's not the way Christianity is, and I don't think they completely understand that. And I can see even the way my mom like worships. I'm like,
Funny that
I'm
you
not
say
sure
that.
if that's how it's supposed to go. But yeah,
You're awakening my religious my, my interest in religious conversation. So you're right, Christianity doesn't really function that way. But funny enough, in a way, Judaism does or did
yeah.
in the past, which is where Christianity came from. So that's
Also
interesting.
going in circles.
So if you go to Hispanic households, a lot of Hispanic households, you'll find big ass
altar,
decked out
yeah.
shrine there for some saints. They'll have one for Virgin Mary, then they might even have smaller ones for some other saints also, which is again harkening back to the way they used to do their own worship before the Spaniards showed up. So it's all everybody does it. The English too. Every time the Catholic Church went somewhere, they would always take something from the native beliefs, put it into their religion, and then okay, is it good now? Okay, you guys can join now. It's familiar enough to you now, right? Okay, you can join now. Everywhere they went, they did that, which is why you find people still worshiping that way. So it's not very surprising. Yeah, Christianity is a very what's the word I'm looking for? Adaptable religion. Over the years, it's been very adaptable.
In it.
Yeah, but there's something I was gonna say I forgot about. But anyways,
Yeah.
like you said, we can move back over here before we get carried away. How long do you think we've been recording for?
An hour.
You think?
How long do you
Yes.
think?
I don't think about like 45 minutes. Girl, I mean, okay.
We just passed 51 minutes.
Wow.
Okay, so almost an hour.
Yeah.
You should talk about the details of your business, how you started like online and stuff, and how like now you can have like a brand for your box. I feel like that's a big deal.
Before we even get there, like I was gonna ask, like, how did you? So I'm guessing you were not a businesswoman right out of the womb, like. So you grew up, you got your microbiology degree, you decided you want to start this business. How did you go from that to learning how to build it, how to manage it, that kind of thing? And I'm sure you're still learning, but
yeah. Interesting. I've always kind of had a business mindset. My parents grew up, my parents had their own beauty supply, which was actually a big thing. My brother and I were actually talking about this. Yeah. We were the only Black-owned beauty supply store.
Really?
Yeah. We didn't think of it as a big deal, but now it's actually kind of a big deal. But we don't have it anymore. But I grew up, helping them sell stuff at the store. My mom and her sisters always having different businesses. Like our family is legit full of business owners, honestly. Yeah.
Not surprising.
Yeah. But it's a very Igbo thing.
It's
like, I didn't from your mother as well.
And then, so there's this, when my brother and I were little, we had a little hustle in school. So I would get all the toys that we got from McDonald's and sell them in class. And my brother would steal people's pens and sell it back to them.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So like that's what we would do. So and then my friends that I had, like when I was in high school and stuff, they were like, for instance, I don't see you being a doctor or anything like that. I see you being a businesswoman. Because one of my really close friends when we were in high school, like we were really smart, but in applying for college, they're looking for that extracurricular stuff. So when I was a sophomore and when I was a freshman in high school, I ran track. But then 11th and 12th grade, I went to a collegiate high school. And so I wasn't doing any sports or anything like that. I wasn't doing any extracurriculars. And that was the same thing with my friend. And we're like, oh man, we got to put something on here. So we're thinking. Mind you, we were in a community college. I'm like, yo, we can start our own club. So we started a fashion club. And then we had all these people who were into fashion. One of our friends, his name is Ubong. And I don't know if you've heard Chief Ubong. He has he makes clothes and everything. So back then, we were all in high school and, he was into making clothes. So I remember he sewed some outfits and we had some other friends who were into fashion. And so we threw a fashion show. And so we put that on our resume and that got us into some colleges. So that was like an angle too, selling tickets and everything. So I kind of have always had that in me. And I've always been the type, I spend money, but I also like to save money. So in Udokan, I've been the person doing PR. I've been the person doing marketing. I'm the person, logistics and operations. I'm taking the pictures of the stuff. I set up the website by myself. I had to learn these things all because I didn't want to spend money. But yeah, it started off. Honestly, Udokan started off as a blog. It started off as a blog,
Ooh,
and
I found that actually. I think I found that by accident.
yeah. So the way this blog started off, such a girl thing. I had broken up with my ex, and I was into journaling. And so one of my younger cousins, she was going through a little breakup, and I was giving her advice. I was like, "You should start a blog because you have really good advice." So I just started doing stuff like that, starting a blog, and that's how it started or whatever. And then I started making those necklaces. So it started off as I wanted it to be called Udo, but there was other companies named Udo, and with the whole trademark, all that stuff. So that's how it came up. So then Udokan came from me. So I looked up like different translations of peace in different tribes of Nigeria. Chopped and screwed it, brought it together, said Udokan. The whole general message is that we can all come together with our differences and all in peace.
Is that what the shirt is about?
Yeah. So as you see on this shirt,
I
it is the female tribe. So you got the Igbo tribe, the Yoruba tribe, and the Hausa tribe, and then Udokan. We all come together in peace. So that's the whole message, that all of our different tribes can come together in peace. Because when you think about Nigeria was, we all know the little history, Lugard and everything. We were all just different tribes. Let's say a whole bunch of different countries, if you will. And because of colonization or whatever, they brought us together. Because of that, we've had lots of issues and everything. But I'm saying, no, we can come together and be peaceful with one another. There's things from the east that we can take and use. There's things from the north, from the west, from the south, and we can do things together. We can help one another. In addition, I was also tired of seeing white missionaries. And it's just so frustrating to me because I feel like we can go back and, give back to those in need. We know the land. We have family there. We know what our people need. It's not just a situation where we go there, we take pictures with kids and say, oh, look what we've done, And so that was another thing that drove me because I was like, no, we need to be the ones to go back. We need to be the ones to make that change, Another thing, because when you ask me about where the shirt comes from, and part of the reason why I made that conscious decision to have somebody in Nigeria make my shirts is because I want to put money back into African soil. Another thing I'm tired about seeing is I'm seeing a bunch of, and no shade but shade, too. You see the Asians, go back, the Middle Easterns go back, and they're making these nice restaurants and everything. And it's frustrating because we're not seeing Nigerian-owned businesses in Nigeria. And that is so frustrating. We're having this new age colonization take place. Nigeria, we've never really owned Nigeria when you think about it, But it's so in our face right now. And I feel like we have so many resources now, especially being, in diaspora. We have so many resources. We're smart. If we can go back for, Deci December, why can't we go back, in March, in April, in May, and do something? We're over here talking about, I got this Airbnb out here, people selling cars out here, people are, building houses out here and doing things out here. Why not take that same energy, that same vim, and go back and put that into our own land? I know we have our issues, the government and everything, but people have friends in high places, and the same way these other outsiders are coming in to make their pitch and do what they got to do. Let us do that. Why is it that I know we have that fear, but it's like, why is it that an Asian man is confidently going into our land and doing what he's got to do?
It's a little bit of a complex issue, that one.
Yeah.
So I've personally been toying with the idea for a few years now of going into agriculture in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And I think my dad kind of had something to do with that. He put the idea in my head. Well, it's not just my dad, actually. There's this guy, John Dumelo. I don't know if you know him. He's a Ghanaian actor. I don't know him personally. But I saw one of his posts on the Explore page one day, and apparently he decided to buy a farm and become a farmer. And I don't know what part of that sounds attractive, but it sounded attractive to me for some reason.
I definitely want a farm and everything.
Yeah, it sounded attractive. Like I followed him after that, and I still look at his stuff every now and then, like what he's doing on his farm and stuff. And like 2 or 3 years ago, I think like 2 years ago, my dad bought a farm too, and then he bought another one, and another one, and he's planning to use it for palm trees specifically. And it seems to me like that's where we should be going. We should be, like you said, building businesses where we're from, buying back the country, basically. And why not, really? Yes, there are a lot of problems. The government is a mess, all of that. But by and large, it's still easier to start a business there than it is here.
You think?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's
what way?
It is.
They'll have. I don't know for sure, but from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, I would say the stress is there's different stressors. We have stress as far as like all these policies and blah 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 blah. Over the stresses may be like somebody coming in to ruin what you got, or to come and tell you can't do this.
So
can't do that.
running the business is a whole other proposition, but it's easier to start. Like when maybe I should not use the word easier. What I meant, or what I was envisioning in my head, you see the English again. What I meant to say is capital wise, it's much easier to start there than it is here, and that's the biggest part of the hurdle, basically, having enough capital to actually start. And then, like you said, the regulations and all of that stuff, which ironically are in your favor in the long run because it prevents a lot of nonsense from happening down the line. But then running the business becomes a problem if you're not used to dealing with the way Nigeria works and all of that. And there's something else I was going to say, but the thought has completely flown out of my head. But yes, the Chinese thing or the Asian thing. But we know you're really talking about China, so I'm not going to beat around the bush.
Don't beat around the bush.
I'm not beating around the bush. So the Chinese thing, it's not really like you ask why is he so confident to come there and start a business. It's not just him. I feel like the Chinese thing is a state-sponsored mission, basically. So maybe this one guy is coming to open a restaurant here, but he has the backing of an entire country behind him. And it's not just the little restaurants that are popping up, it's the loans they're giving here and there. And it's not just Nigeria, it's Africa in general. But I don't want to, go into that too much. I already did an episode on that, actually. We went into that. Jefferson and I went into the Ukwaji thing. But basically, they're trying to buy pieces of Africa. And some people don't like what I say. Is they feel like I'm putting on my conspiracy theory hat. No, but I'm very convinced. So there's like a land grab in Africa now. We have to grab while we can, basically. It's monopoly, like you said. So I don't see it as something that's optional. It's a requirement, actually. So the hard part is the doing. Like you said, some people know people in high places, but finding said people is easier said than done, I guess.
Easier said than done. You may know somebody, that person doesn't want to help you though. And that's the thing that's the thing that's so annoying. Like, I love Nigerians, but we have that love-hate relationship. Because if you see other countries or people from other countries, you see Ethiopians, they're helping each other. They're what's that thing? Is it susu? Have you ever heard of susu?
Osusu. Is that the one where people have a club and they all contribute money?
Nigerians are not like that.
My mom has a group like that.
A lot of people do that.
A lot of people do that, but I'm seeing in the sense of like, okay, let's say I'm part of this business, okay, and you're trying to get in. I'm a Nigerian, but I'm not gonna give you the tips and tricks and how I did what I did, because in my mind I'm like, competition. Okay. But then you see people of other countries who are, like, oh hey, come on. When an Indian comes into this country, they're set. You know what I'm saying? They got people who are gonna help them. That's why a whole bunch of them are in IT. You know what I'm saying? But
I can attest to that.
But our own people, we're not helping them out. You know what I'm saying? That's why so many of them are doing under the table jobs and stuff, because that person that they know that can actually really help them, they're not doing it. They're like, oh, that one, I'm not trying to do that. We're very, let me mind my business. Let me shoot my eyes.
This is not even necessarily a mind my business kind of thing. Nigerians have a very feudalistic way of thinking. Like, okay, so I have this business now. I go out, I spend money, and these guys, they're hailing me on spending money. If I show this guy how to start this business and he starts making money too, is he gonna keep hailing me tomorrow? That's really what Nigerians. That's really what a lot of Nigerians are thinking when they think like that. It's not even a matter of mind my business. It's more like they want to be the one that's on top.
Yeah, that's true.
They want to be the one that's on top.
That's one angle. I think another angle I think of sometimes is that, like, I feel like these other countries, it's easier for them. I guess minus India, because Indians have different languages, so I guess not. But like maybe like Asian countries now, like let's say Koreans now, all of them speak Korean. Maybe it's a different dialect, but it's all Korean. And I feel like it's easier for them to see that person as my person because you people have this common language. But Nigerians are so divided to the point that, like, even if you see another Igbo person, like this one is from Anambra, like,
you are very correct, actually. Even with Indians, so yeah, they have different languages, but I think pretty much maybe I'm saying nonsense here, but I would say most Indians can speak Hindi, so they still share a language basically. Apart from that, forget about the British colonization. They've been one people for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like they've been one civilization for probably one of the oldest civilizations in the world. Thousands of years, they've been one people, basically. The structure of that has changed many times, but they're still the same people. The same thing with the Chinese. The Chinese have been one people for who knows how many thousand years. But with Nigerians, that's not the case. Again, this I don't want to repeat the whole Ukwaji episode again, but basically, I believe that there is no such thing as Nigerian spirit. Like Nigerians don't think of themselves. I don't want to say it like this, but like when it's like Independence Day just passed. But when it's like Independence Day, like we come out, oh yeah, I'm Nigerian, all of that. But we don't really think of ourselves as Nigerians. We still think of ourselves in little units, basically.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that will change with time. I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to wait that long. Maybe 300 years. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know.
But I mean, I think it kind of that goes back to, history. Because I feel like the reason why we don't believe we're one, because we never were
That's
one.
exactly
You
why.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so much time has passed. We weren't in the war. We didn't see what it was like prior to independence, all that stuff. But still, that has passed down. Like, I'm Igbo.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not we're Nigerian. Only time we come say we're Nigerians whenever you go somewhere. You're at school, you're Nigerian, me too. But then once you go into ASU, you go deep inside.
Yeah.
Like, like people still are in their collective stuff. Even something as small as Jollof Wars. Why is there a Jollof War?
Now it's between two different countries.
Oh no, it's even more. Who else is in that Liberian? They just don't talk about Sierra Leone in Liberia like that. But I mean, like, a Nigerian can make jollof and it'll be nasty. A Ghanaian can make jollof and it'll be good. It depends on who makes it. But that one's a different situation.
But we don't see ourselves as
we've never seen ourselves as one. Like she said, even within our own tribe, state to state, there's difference. Even within the state,
do you get?
I'm Imbisi. My husband's from R&B, so they met me say, Imbisi. Like, but we're all from Imo State. I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, we segregate ourselves. It's deep. It's deep. And I think it's because we started off, everybody was in their own towns. That's what they knew. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden someone comes and says, oh yeah, everybody come together. You're like, who is that?
Yeah.
Who is that?
So it depends on, like you say, it goes back to history. Like, for instance, if you look at the Yoruba people, Yoruba people largely lived in, certain kingdoms, the Yoruba kingdoms. Within those kingdoms, again, if I'm talking rubbish, correct me. But within those kingdoms, you find that people are more uniform. Whereas then, if you go from I'm from I'm from Ogun State, I'm from Shagamu or whatever. And, oh, you're from Oyo. Now we're different because we're not the same people. Yeah, we're Yoruba, but we're not really the same people. Like within Edo State, for instance, I'm Itzako and I'm different from a Benin person. Although if you go way back, we used to be part of the Benin Kingdom, the Benin Empire. So as a collective, we're really one people. If you go back far enough, so we have some kind of a division, but it's not probably not as much as the one that you're describing. Whereas with Igbo people, for instance, again, feel free to correct me if I'm saying nonsense. I think a lot of Igbo societies they were more, let me say democratic, for lack of a better word. They were more like democratic societies. Like they had their smaller, I don't think they had larger kingdoms. Like they had smaller democratic societies where people ruled with some kind of democracy system. Funny enough, I think I learned this from, was it Things Fall Apart? Yeah, I think he mentioned this in the book. How they had some kind of system of confederations where there would be a bunch of villages and they have the elders that rule the village and they basically vote on what they want to do. And they, contrary to the Nollywood movies where there's always a king, is it?
I know we have that, but we had our kingdoms. But like you said, they did run it like a democracy. So yeah.
So I think that's part of why it's more common there because they were like smaller societies versus a larger, like for instance the Benin Empire then, before the before the British showed up, the Benin Empire was like Edo states, Delta states, parts of Ondo states, Lagos states. They were all within the Benin Empire. So it's bigger than what people think. When you think today, you're thinking, oh, Edo states, or you're thinking, okay, Benin City even. But it was much bigger than that. Even parts of some other Yoruba kingdoms, not just not just Ondo state. So it was a lot bigger. Whereas Oyo Empire too was probably not just Oyo State, it was more than that too. So these were bigger kingdoms. So a lot of people that are encompassed in those are really on some level the same people. But the British just came and drew their lines wherever they want to draw their lines. And we go with that. But anyways, Amarachi, do you have anything you want to discuss about Udoka? How did you discover about Udoka? Like how did you guys have that conversation? Did she just bring it up to you one day, or did you find out like everybody else?
No, she told me. No, she told me that she wanted to start or something. I remember the wired necklaces, and I think
you were one of the models. I remember I saw it.
Oh, I forgot. So I did, like, I knew about that, and then I remember when you called me to sign it as a business, where you went and got like the whole patent and everything. So I thought that was really cool. So most of it is just like she'll just tell me, "Oh, I'm doing this." And I'm like, "Okay, let's get it then." And like she just like runs like ideas by me, and I'm like, "Oh, that's nice to do that and stuff like that." So yeah, just be hearing like she has already done it. She just tell me, "Oh, this is something I've done." And I'm like, "Oh, okay," and stuff like that. So really proud of you.
I try.
So that's how I know about Udokan.
Okay. So how many Udokan pieces do you have? Let me put you on the spot.
I have the bag. I don't know what it's called. I have the wired necklace. I lost it. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is anymore. I have the Zaman Lafia necklace, which is I think peace and Hausa. Yeah. I have that one. I have the Udokan t-shirt. I have the earring you made. Yeah.
Wait, so the Zaman Lafi, what does that look like?
It's in cursive, I think?
Yeah, it's written now.
Okay. I was trying to wondering how did you do that with Insipid? That's what.
No. So those are the pieces. I have 5. I feel like I've done it. I have the ring too.
Oh yes, he does have the ring.
Oh, you have rings.
Yeah, but it's more of like a general.
Yeah, it's like so. I have Africa rings, like a solid gold. I have gold and silver, but like solid Africa, and then like the outline of Africa, And I have some earrings as well. Yeah.
That's an area I think more people should go into. Like recently, I found out I wanted to buy um, a chain or a necklace and a ring too, and I was trying to find one that had one of each that had African themes, and it was excruciatingly difficult
Really?
to find one that had an African theme that I liked.
Yeah.
So typically, there were always something like some kind of animal tooth or something. It's like they're always those. So I actually got one of those, but like it's kind of black and I don't know what it's made of, but it looks like obsidian, but obviously it's not obsidian. But I couldn't find one that was like, okay, it's gold and it's has like an African theme to it. But
check out the website. We got a discount going on right now all month long. So,
I was going to go into that. Okay, no, say that louder. Say that louder. Do a shameless plug.
Yes, there's a code. Yeah. So this month of October, because October is my favorite month, my birthday month, we're having a site-wide sale, even on already discounted products. And the code is October 21. So October 21.
Okay, so if you text that to me, I'll put it in. I'll put it in the description. So I was actually going to ask if you have pieces for men.
Yeah. So our rings unisex, our shirts unisex. Because I have a male version of this as well, and then I also have like I think I call it like my Afro anime shirt that has Insibidi on it. It's Insibidi symbol on top that translates to Nwachuku, which is child of God. The rings, if guys have their ears pierced, like Africa studs, little studs. So yeah, different stuff.
Okay. I'll check it out. Definitely looking for more of that stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This chain.
Yeah, I was looking at that, but that one looks more. It looks kind of female. Look kind of feminine. Yeah. I think that was what inspired that question. I was thinking I was going to ask you guys. I think I had while I was doing my little research, I somehow found my way to the website. So I was going to ask you about it because I saw the chains and I was like, I don't know. Typically, women wear chains that are skinny like that, like you said. But I'll take a look. Maybe I'll be the inspiration for more male stuff.
Exactly, for sure. Guys want thicker chains. All right, we'll work on it. Yeah, and then we have some dad hats if you like dad hats and stuff.
Dad hats. What are dad hats? You mean like the traditional like
cap? Let me see.
What do you mean by dad hats? I don't think I've ever heard them called dad hats.
Really?
But yeah, I'm probably gonna be looking to buy another chain before the year is over. So maybe I'll take advantage of your discounts.
You should, especially if you want to get some Christmas gifts in right now. Little stuff for sure.
All right. So anything else you want us to know before we close out here? I don't want the episode to get too long. I'm sure you guys have somewhere to be also.
I'll just leave a message. Everyone just kind of try to spread the message of peace in your own way. I know it's hard to think that we're all one, but I do feel like Africans as a whole, we do need to lean on one another. I feel like that's the only way that we'll be able to go back and help our brothers and sisters back home. And that's very important that we do that we're the ones to help the little ones, that we're the ones to help the sick. If the government isn't going to do what it's got to do, then let's use our resources that we're getting from diaspora and go back home, pour that in there. We're already taking, when we travel out there, we're spending all this money to go to the clubs and everything. Let's try to put that into something else as well. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
All right, that's a nice message. I like it. I endorse that message. But yeah, so this has been pretty fun. I mean, we got into a lot of other things, but that's kind of how I like it to fly. I don't like to script the episodes, so I like it to naturally and organically go into other things. But I think they do concern the topic, so they're not just random stuff. We weren't talking about the game last week or something. But yeah, so thanks for coming on. This is definitely great. Amarachi, wherever you are, thanks for coming on too as a co-guest. And thanks for listening, guys. Please definitely go check out Udokan. What's your website? Udokan.com, is it?
Yes. So it's www.udokaninc.com, and that is spelled UDOKANINC.com. And then the Instagram is at Udokan Inc. So again, UDOKANINC.
Okay, I'll link them in the description as well. But I like people to say that stuff on the episode because I know some people are lazy. They're not going to go look at this. I know some people are not going to look there. So definitely nice to put it in the episode too. So once again, thanks for listening, guys, and catch us on the next episode.